the first time in years, and I mean years, I'm actually excited to wake up in the morning. I haven't been this excited to wake up since I was playing FIFA 17 on my PS4, and that's quite scary for me to admit because FIFA 17 came out in 2016. So that's 9 years ago. I'm 29 now, so that's basically been my whole 20s, which is rather terrifying. And over the past 6 months, I've been fortunate enough to experience what the next decade may hold for me, and it's actually really exciting me. But it wasn't luck that led to this point. Looking back, I realized it was all the boring, painful shit in my 20s that's led to this point. I feel like I'm now at a point where I can actually see the path in front of me for really the first time in my life, and I'm actually excited to wake up and build it. But looking back, I realized I was building it all along. I just didn't know it and it didn't feel like it. And I almost guarantee that that's exactly what's happening to you. I've written recently about the importance of failures. And if you're in your 20s, you're probably very familiar with that F word because your 20s are full of the damn things. Your first horrible renting experience, your first hardcore breakup, your first 9 to 5, and your realization of just how draining and soul destroying office culture is. That's your 20s. And your 20s are also filled with the ultimate realization that the life you actually want to live is very, very far away and you don't have the means of getting there right now. I'm sure most of you remember a time in your 20s where you feel absolutely useless. You want to move to a new place in a new city, but you have no idea where that is. You want a job that actually fulfills you, but you have no idea how to find one. And you want to rekindle that same spark, that same energy you had when you were in your teenage years, but you're being pushed into a life that you really don't want to live and you can't really find a way out. I think what makes all of that so difficult to deal with is that it lasts years. The feeling of confusion, dread, it almost feels like it's never going to end. But looking back, all of that was pointing me in the direction of the stuff I actually wanted to do. The reason I have a life that I'm looking forward to, a life that I want to build towards now, is because I figured out first what I don't want to do. And that's the most important part of your 20s. Trying things, hating them, and figuring out where it is you actually want to be. So right now I'm waking up and I know what hobbies I want to partake in. I know where I want to end up living. I know what I want to do for work. And do you know how I figured that out? Because I figured out what hobbies I hate doing, where I don't want to live, and what I definitely do not want to do for work. And the reason I actually figured that out is from failure after failure after failure. I had jobs I despised, places I couldn't wait to leave, and hobbies that absolutely drained me. All of the crap stuff, even when it didn't feel like it, has led me to find the good stuff. It took a long time, a long time, but I feel like it's actually happened. Intertwined among all this trying and failing is the inevitable question that we all have to answer when we enter our 20s, and that is whether we live or whether we build. So if you imagine a spectrum, on one end, you've got that person that somehow scrapes by on every paycheck. They're going out, they're partying, they're finding dollars from somewhere, but you don't know how the hell it's sustainable. And then on the other hand, you've got that friend that squirrels away every single dollar, invests in the stock market or puts it away in a high interest savings account, and they're sacrificing everything just to try and build a better future. And if you analyze your friend group, I'm sure you'll be able to slot each of your friends, including yourself, into somewhere along this spectrum. And that's the thing about your 20s. They're a balancing act. You either decide to live in the present moment and do everything you want to do, or you sacrifice and you build towards the future. Now, this isn't really a channel where we go into the economics of the cost of living, but I will say it's getting harder as a young person to build and save for the future. And this also isn't really a channel where I bullshit you. So I will say money is just as great as you've been told it is. Not necessarily for what it helps you buy, but for what it helps you avoid. And when you're in your 20s, you really don't have that much of it, which means your chance to avoid the things you don't want to do and the things that are quite painful is minimal. Sure, you can avoid in the now by jetting off to Europe for a few months at a time, going out, drinking, partying, doing just enough to scrape by. But we all know that inevitably catches up to you. So instead, you choose to do the smart thing, you sacrifice, you save towards the future, and that's where your 20s really begins. Because suddenly you're in this strange decade where you're doing something you don't want to do, working for someone you don't want to work for, building for a future you don't want to build for. All the while, you're sacrificing your life by not spending your money on the things that bring you joy. Ladies and gentlemen, your 20s. And I'm sorry if you're even more depressed than you were before you clicked on this video, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. A good life and a life you enjoy is really, really difficult to build. It takes a long time. This video is not so much a savior as it is a reminder that all of the crap you're dealing with right now is exactly what you're supposed to be dealing with. You're supposed to be trying, you're supposed to be failing, you're supposed to be failing over and over again, figuring out all the stuff you don't want to do so you can eventually lead to the stuff you do want to do. And when you're in your 20s, there are going to be so many different things pulling you in so many different directions. Should you move here? Should you quit that? Should you try that? Should you do that? And that's a big reason why you feel out of control. But my biggest piece of advice and the key takeaway for this video is to let yourself be pulled. A lot of that stuff is going to feel useless and a complete waste of your time and like it's not even going to work in the moment. And even when you do it, it still might not feel like that. But when you're looking back in 5 years past that, you're going to realize how big of a role that little decision played in the life you're building right now. All of those little failures add up to make the picture of where you're supposed to go so much clearer. It doesn't feel like it at the time, but I promise you when you're out this other side, it does. And last but not least, I want to remind you to lower your expectations big time. We're told for some reason, I don't know who the hell told us this at school. Maybe it was just to try and make us a little bit less depressed. We're told our 20s are going to be the best years of our lives. So we go into them, we expect them to be this incredible thing, and then we're surprised when they're shit. Unfortunately, the benefit of being young is offset by the fact we're broke, doing things for people we really don't want to do things for, and navigating a society that feels kind of broken. Disliking your 20s is one thing, but having guilt for disliking them is another layer that just doesn't need to be there. If you dislike them right now, honestly, I do think you're on the right path. You just have to push through, keep trying, keep failing. I know it sucks, but once you come out of the other side, you're going to feel so much better. Lower your expectations and realize this is all part of where you need to be. Keep going.